Well, I'd like to welcome a good friend of mine, Natalie Martin, to the show. Natalie, welcome to Clallam Corner.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. James, when you asked me, I'm like, this would be really fun. I'm excited to kind of talk about companies, talk about all kinds of things, and then, get to share my art because I couldn't say no.
Well, I know you have a passion for what you do because I have taken a few of your classes. We've done couples painting, we've painted ornaments, and you've also taken photographs of my family and our company. So it was easy when I knew that I wanted someone here in Clallam County to be on the show that you'd be up.
Thank you. I think that this is such an amazing thing that you're doing, by the way, James. I love the fact that you're showcasing businesses, but kind of bringing a personal element into it, because honestly, that's what a community thrives on, is the relationships that these businesses are building together. And that's exactly what my whole business motto is just bringing people together, building relationships. And that makes it a little bit more personal, but at the same time makes you more comfortable to sit here in front of a screen and actually have a conversation.
Well, that means that you say I can get personal, so I'm gonna flip my card over and go with different questions. Can you tell us a little about the business that you run? And you can see behind you all those gorgeous paintings. Pour Sip Paint. You do these self-taught instructional classes where you have groups as small as 2 up to, I've seen some at like the casino where you had over 100 people, right?
Yeah, the most actually at this point has been 75. So I haven't crossed that threshold, but I'm hoping with the virtual world that I can teach and have a guest list of unlimited amount of people.
So for those people who have yet to experience one of the classes, can you kind of walk us through what to expect if they were to, walk into a, 40th birthday party or anniversary, or we've done it for our company parties? What can they expect?
Well, it kind of depends on what the approach is. So I love the fact that you're, broaching a couple of different events, because absolutely, we do this on a personal level. So prior to COVID, I was able to go into people's homes and, teach a small gathering, whether that be like a family gathering or kids' birthday parties were always a big hit. So it was just a matter of bringing people together and having a good time while somewhat learning to paint. I mean, quite honest, I always say that this isn't like a fine art class. This is a fun art class. So the whole point was just to sit down and make it fun, because, and I'm going to dive a little bit deep for just a second. Honestly, I love teaching kids, and in this world right now where art is so important with everything that's going on, kids show up to these kinds of classes with zero expectations for themselves or what the heck they're doing. And it's my favorite thing, because they think no matter what they do, it's the best thing they've ever done, right? It's like, I painted a turtle, I painted a llama. I've never painted a llama. How awesome am I? And usually when we do this, I've taught at a couple of elementary schools where it's a parent and a kid together, and they paint so that they divide the painting in half, and each of them paints one half. Or in instance of a llama, we had 2 llamas, and there were no llama dramas, or no drama llamas. There we go. So they were kind of personalizing the painting to their own style, but they're working together. And so what you have is a kid that's like thrilled to be here, thrilled to paint, finger paint, whatever, and they usually have their own spin on things. And then the parent that's like, wait, why is yours better than mine? And there's like the sense of comparison. And so my whole way of teaching is I'm teaching the expectations that along the way, because when you're in school, kids initially having craft projects don't have expectations. They're just having fun. And then the grades and teachers over time telling you have to do it this certain way, they have it programmed in their minds that unless they've painted in the past or they know what they're doing, they should never take an art class. That's not the case. In my classes, you show up to learn, but to have that expectation unlearned more than anything, because you're discovering a little bit about yourself, you're having fun. And I don't know if you can read it if it's backwards in your camera, but it's the name is Pour Sip Paint. So you pour the drink, you take a sip, and then you paint. And the sipping I recommend because it loosens you up. It removes that I don't know, I guess if the sense of overwhelm, there's something about a blank canvas that's a little bit nerve-wracking. And so we sip, we socialize, we have a good time. When you show up to class, the whole thing is I want to welcome you. I want you to sit, get cozy, have a snack, finger foods, make friends with your neighbors because you're stuck with them for a while, even if you don't know them. And then we just kind of go through it step by step. I mean, you're never on your own. And I love to come through and encourage everyone. So what you're expecting really when you're walking in is an environment of feeling welcome. And everyone that's there is like, hey, I've painted a first time before. It's no big deal, because my students know they've gotten to that rhythm. You know, I've trained them well. And I think you're a great example of that, James, because you've done this a few times with me. You're usually like, it's okay. It'll come together at the end. It's a hot mess during the middle of it, but it's okay. And actually, I make sure to hang the little pastel painting that we did all together over here, just as a reminder, because, and I hope you share those, because that was hilarious. You guys all came out of the class with something completely unique and completely your own.
Yep.
And you had fun. So that's the whole point. Sorry.
It's sort of, you described a class sort of like the day in a life of a parent of young kids. Like you start out in the middle, you just say, it's a hot mess. I'm melting down. And then all of a sudden it's like 8 o'clock and they're asleep and you're like, hey, the day we got through it.
Yeah, pretty much.
There were fun memories, and I'll forget the bad stuff too.
And that's the whole thing. My husband's hilarious because I've, over the years, I've convinced him to come and help me with some of my larger classes. I mean, 75 students is a lot for one person to teach. Yeah. And so he'll come out and he'll entertain and refill paint. But one of his favorite things, he's like, honestly, the excuse is one, you were having a good time, you were making friends, so who the heck cares? And two, you were drinking. You can use that as an excuse any day.
It's kind of like you said that loosens you up a little bit. It's kind of like karaoke. You've never seen anyone walk into a bar stone cold sober and go up and sing karaoke. You got to have like a beer beforehand, right?
Exactly. And so I think for this reason stopped calling my classes because again, it has this expectation. I'm taking a class. I'm supposed to do this. That's supposed to. So I call them events. So I really, when you buy a ticket to an event, you're going to show up being entertained in one form or another. Half of the time it's me cracking jokes at myself because I'm ridiculous and, I mess up too. Even as an artist, we all make happy accidents because there's no perfection. It's just it's a matter of having fun with it. So absolutely. Have a drink, relax, crack some jokes, have a good time.
So I have painted a sailboat on the beach. I've painted the bridge that you said which is affectionately, part of our logo, as you know.
Right.
We also most recently this last Christmas did hanging Christmas ornaments, which I thought was really fun. What's one thing that you've done that you were like, oh man, this is going to be so awesome, and then by the end of it, you're like, that is way too hard, or because they always turn out really well. But I'm sure there has to be one event or something that someone requested that they're like, huh, that didn't quite do it.
To be quite honest, I work through all of those kinks before I ever teach a class. So I think that when you ever sign up for a class, you sign up with the pretense that I am going to hold your hand during most of this. And as much as I don't want to advertise that, because I usually say at some point you got to let go and do things on your own. But I try to work all of that out long before we get started. This most recent year, my favorite one was, and I only taught it in one spot. I taught it in Moss in Port Angeles, and we did hydro flasks. And so when I taught hydro flasks, it wasn't like you show up and you do one painting. Usually we pick one painting and that's what you sign up for, and everybody does it all together. So we do it step by step. The hydro flasks were actually similarly to what we did with the ornaments. You get to pick your own design. And so I had like 20 some students that had, each one of them was working on their own individual project in their own way. And hydro flasks, I mean, they're awesome to paint on, but it's not like canvas. It's not absorbent. So it takes some practice. It takes some fanatic. And again, glass is hard because paint wants to move and does its own thing. So really I had to focus on, okay, I just have to use the same words over and over again. It'll be okay. It's going to be okay. It's more like a therapy session. Art therapy is a thing, and I'm not a licensed art therapist, but there's a little part of that I've done my due diligence of research on how the terms to use and which ones not to use and how to make this as comfortable of an experience as possible, because again, we are our own worst critic, and there's certain mediums like glass, for instance. We've done a lot of glass. We've done growlers are my favorite, so the tap room, and I know you are a fan of the tap room. We've done some growlers in there, and we've done them, you paint the growler itself, and then you can let it cure, and you can come in and you can get it filled up, or you could put lights inside of it and then use it as like a lantern. So I've tried to make it so that whatever we paint on becomes kind of a multi-use experience. So, okay, maybe the painting isn't awesome, but you go home with an awesome, hydro flask. You go home with a really cool growler that you can, kind of use no matter what. Put stickers over it, you're good to go.
Yeah, I just love the variety that you get. The choices, I think, is so cool. So help our viewers that haven't taken a class or haven't been to an event, excuse me, I'll get the verbiage right, haven't been to an event before, or have, and they haven't got to have like you in the microscope. On a good weekend when you're not doing an event, you're not working, where are you and your family? What are you guys doing for fun right now?
Well, it's summer, and so I live at the lake. I am a water baby and always have been. It's one of my favorite things why I love the peninsula is because there's limitless opportunities to go and be in the water. So like John Wayne Marina, taking kayaks out or going to the lake and hanging out with our friends. I mean, really, that's what we usually do. My son, I have a 12-year-old. Gosh, middle schooler, scary. But, for the most part, it's entertaining him, keeping him busy, keeping him going so that we're not at home playing video games. That's usually what you're going to find me doing is kicking him outside so we can go, okay, let's go in nature, let's go do something. And obviously we're limited on what we typically would do, but I have to say, summer is my favorite season, so I don't feel as limited because you get to go outside, you get to hang out. You'll usually find me with a coffee or wine out back, hanging out, getting inspiration. So I love that you mentioned my photography because I have a funny thing. I love to paint landscapes. So most of what I paint is landscapes. And when it comes to photography, like I don't like to paint portraits. It's not my favorite. I don't mind birds and like a few creatures, but for the most part, I only do landscapes. When it comes to photography, I love to photograph people because I don't think I could ever paint emotion correctly. And so you'll have a camera in your face most of the time. If you're friends with me, I will take a million pictures of you and whoever you're with. So I usually will bring my camera so we can document these moments. It's the whole, my slogan for my photography business is captured moments, because those are ones that you want to go back through a book. Like my son loves the books that we've created over the years of, hey, I forgot that we went and we did this thing, and documenting that and putting it kind of on paper is like my favorite thing. So if we're ever at the lake, you usually will see me with a camera taking pictures.
Well, and we've enjoyed them all. We've had them on our website. We've had our team photos and headshots taken. We've had my personal family. We have pictures, I think, from when our youngest son, Bennett, was not even 1 yet. So, and he's now 5.5. So we've known each other for a long time. And so obviously that's something you can do while socially distancing, right? You can still take care of people photography and go make good use of the golden hour, right?
Exactly. Look at you with your terminology. Yeah, actually, I have a photo shoot. We're going out to Fort Worton in 2 weeks or so. There's a family and they're going camping. And so the whole concept of getting glamorous and making it like this big thing, I'm trying to eliminate that when it comes to little kids. And again, it's about the experience. It's about capturing those moments they're not staged. And so most of what I do is it's candid. We go for a walk or we'll go and literally make the kids go throw rocks in the water or in the river or whatever, just because that is really what day-to-day life is like. And if you're going to hang a picture on your wall, do you just want you guys going, yeah, we're perfect, cookie cutter? Or do you want, do you want those candid moments of your precious ones where they're falling and tripping all over themselves? Because that's the funny thing, they're getting wet and they're having fun and they're laughing, and that's the true joy in a picture. So yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that we can get out and actually make memories like that.
Way to cross-sell your other business too. What a boss. That's awesome. And you're right. I have a photo that I'll try to maybe edit in right here of our youngest son getting tickled by our oldest son. And it's just up close, him getting tickled. And it's one of my favorites. It's still hanging up in our bedroom. It's just because, like you said, it's just a spontaneous moment as opposed to the everyone smile, put your arm here, those kind of weird things.
Yeah, well, kids won't do that.
We captured a moment together. Your time is up, my friend. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or how can we find you if people want to get in contact with you for a virtual event, for photographs? What's the best way?
So really, if you look me up on Facebook, Natalie Martin, ideally, just because you can find the link to both Pour Sip Paint for the classes, and then my photography is in there too. I don't do a whole lot of social media posts when it comes to my photography, just because I like to keep it small and intimate, and I base everything on referrals. But you can definitely find a link there. Pour Sip Paint. Again, pouring the drink, taking a sip, painting. Exactly. You can find that on Instagram and on Facebook, and then Natalie Martin Photography for the photography aspect on Facebook for the most part, sometimes on Instagram. But otherwise, Natalie Martin, you can friend request me. I usually am not I'm an open book when it comes to a lot of this stuff because I want to build relationships. I want to know who you are, and that way we can capture the right kind of moments and make the experience the right fit for you.
Well, it's awesome. Thank you so much for joining. You took time out of your weekday morning with me, but I greatly appreciate it. And like I tell everyone, get your Sharpie marker ready because you're going to have autograph requests coming up soon. You'll be at the grocery store and they'll say, hey, that's that poor sick paint girl. Get an autograph.
Absolutely. Thank you, James. I'm so grateful and so appreciative of you, doing this little interview with me and sharing what I do. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm so excited that you're building these relationships with your community too.
Well, enjoy your favorite season, summer. Maybe we'll see you up at the lake.
I hope so. You take care, James.
All right, take care.